the automatic way your body remembers phone numbers without looking at your cell phone. Perhaps you can still dial numbers from memory, not because you memorize them on purpose, but because your body lived in a time when remembering was the only way to make calls. Your fingers still know the rhythm of certain numbers, as if they had a memory of their own, independent of your conscious will. This type of memory doesn't just come from the head. It comes from the hands, from silent repetition, from the days when you needed to write everything down on paper or store it in your mind because there was no other option. Your body learned to be a living archive, to carry information without needing a screen, battery, or connection. This isn't nostalgia. It's a superpower of spatial and sequential memory that many people today don't even develop anymore. You grew up translating numbers into movements, into dial tones, into patterns that the body recognizes even before you think about them. And this created a different way of processing and storing what matters. When you effortlessly recall an old number, you're not just retrieving a piece of data. You're accessing a silently trained capacity, built back when the body needed to be its own storage device. And this way of storing information without relying on technology still works for you, even decades later. Because your hands are still searching for physical buttons before accepting the touch screen. Your hands might hesitate for a second before touching the screen, as if waiting to feel something solid, a real click, the physical confirmation that the command has been given. It's not resistance to the new. It's that your body has been trained to trust touch, the feedback that comes from the object itself. You grew up pressing buttons that responded with pressure, sound, and visible movement. Each key was a small conversation between your hand and the device. Turning on the TV, changing channels, dialing a phone number, playing music, everything required you to touch something real, something your finger recognized as a complete action. That tactile memory doesn't disappear just because the screens have changed. It remains alive in your hands, searching for the texture, the weight, the resistance that confirmed you were in control. And when you don't find it, something inside you feels strange, even if only for a fraction of a second. This superpower is the confidence in your body as a tool for real interaction with the world. You learned that touching something means feeling it back, that action has a physical consequence. And this gave you a way of being present that many people today don't even recognize anymore. The presence that comes from touch, not just from sight. The physical patience developed by waiting without checking notifications every 30 seconds. Maybe you can wait, really wait, without needing to fill every empty second with some distraction in the palm of your hand. Not because you are calmer or more disciplined, but because your body has learned that waiting is part of life, not something to be avoided or corrected. You grew up waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for the mail to arrive, waiting days to develop a photo and find out if it turned out well. Your body was shaped by this obligatory patience, by this slower pace where things happened in their own time, not yours. And this taught you to inhabit the void without despair. Today, that ability is rare. Most people feel physical discomfort after a few minutes without checking anything, without consuming something new, without refreshing their screen. But you can still sit in a waiting room, be stuck in traffic, get through a moment of boredom without it turning into an emotional emergency. This superpower is the tolerance for emptiness without automatic anxiety. You've learned that not all silence needs to be filled, that not all waiting is a problem to be solved. And this way of inhabiting time without haste has given you an inner resilience that protects your mind from the constant exhaustion that comes from hyperconnectivity. If you've noticed this way of reacting in yourself or someone close to you, right? This sounds like me. This helps this video reach more people who think and feel similarly. The superpower of deep concentration built in silence, without constant digital interruptions. You might still be able to immerse yourself deeply in a task, to spend hours doing something without needing to check your phone, without feeling like you're missing something important happening elsewhere. It's not willpower. It's that your body was trained in a time when concentration was the standard state, not the exception. You grew up reading books without notifications in the corner of the page, studying without open browser tabs, Having conversations without vibrations in your pocket calling you to another place. Your brain learned to sustain continuous attention because there was no other option if you lost focus. You lost the thread, and there was no way to get back with a click. This way of functioning has created a rare ability today to enter a deep flow without internal resistance. While many people have to fight against their own minds to avoid distraction, you still access this state of immersion with ease, as if it were a path your body knows by heart. This superpower is sustained concentration without excessive effort. You possess a mental framework built before the era of fragmented attention, and this allows you to produce, think, and create with a depth that has become almost impossible for those who grew up being interrupted every minute. Your body knows how to ignore the noise because it was shaped in silence. The ability to read real facial expressions without relying on emojis to interpret emotions. Perhaps you can still tell what someone is feeling just by looking at them, not by what they say, but by the way their face moves, by the way their eyes look away, by the silence that weighs more than any words. You don't need an emotional caption to understand what's happening to the other person. You grew up reading people live, in real time, unfiltered and unedited. You learned to pick up on micro-expressions, hesitations, contradictions between what was said and what the body showed. Your brain was trained to process complete communication, not just the message, but the tone, the rhythm, the posture, what was left unsaid. This ability to read body language hasn't fully transferred to the digital world. You can sense when something doesn't click in a text conversation, when an emoji doesn't match what you imagine the person is really feeling, and that sometimes makes you uncomfortable because you've learned to trust the whole body, not just the words chosen. This superpower is analog emotional intelligence. You possess a refined sensitivity to pick up on nonverbal truths, to perceive when someone is well or unwell even before that person can explain it. And this makes you capable of deeper connections, because you read the whole human being, not just the edited version they present. How does your body adapt between two worlds without losing the essence of either? You may be able to move between analog and digital without completely losing yourself in either. You use technology, but you're not a slave to it. You appreciate silence, but you don't reject the new. Your body has learned to navigate this boundary with a flexibility that not everyone has developed. You lived through the transition. You knew the world before and after the internet, before and after cell phones, before and after social media. Your brain was shaped into distinct eras, and this gave you a dual perspective. You understand the value of what was and the practicality of what came, without romanticizing it too much or rejecting it completely. This ability to translate between worlds allows you to choose. You can turn off your cell phone and not feel like you're being left behind. You can use technology without letting it dominate every second of your day. You have access to both ways of existing, and that gives you a freedom that entire generations haven't experienced. This superpower is conscious adaptability. You weren't programmed for just one type of reality, so you can switch between physical and digital presence without losing your identity along the way. Your body knows how to inhabit silence and noise, slow and fast, real and virtual, and that makes you someone capable of being present in any context without dissolving into it. Muscle memory still prefers handwriting for processing important information. Perhaps you still pick up a pen when you really need to understand something, not out of old habit, but because your body knows that writing by hand activates a different way of thinking. Your fingers, your wrist, the pressure on the paper, all of this participates in the process of learning, of fixing, of making sense. You grew up writing to remember. You jotted down phone numbers, copied material from the board, made to-do lists, saved addresses, recorded thoughts. Each written word passed through your entire body before reaching the paper, and this created a physical connection with the information that typing could never replicate. This manual process isn't about slowness or nostalgia. It's a deeper form of cognitive processing. When you write by hand, your brain needs to select, summarize, and reorganize. You don't just record, you translate thought into action, and this imprints the information in a way that the brain recognizes as important. This superpower is embodied thought. You have access to a learning pathway that involves the whole body, not just vision and the speed of your fingers on the keyboard. And this gives you a silent advantage. You process information more deeply because your body has been trained to make learning a physical act, not just a mental one. The instinct to observe the real environment before photographing and publishing the moment. You might still look at things before thinking about capturing them. You enter a beautiful place, and the first reaction isn't to grab your phone, it's to absorb, feel, truly be there. The photo comes later, if it comes at all. And when it does, it's to preserve the memory, not to prove you were there. You grew up experiencing moments without immediate recording. Trips, parties, gatherings, everything happened without a camera in hand, without worrying about angles or filters. Your body learned that experience comes first, that being present is worth more than having visual proof, and that gave you a different relationship with reality. This way of experiencing the moment protects you from a modern anxiety, the anxiety of living everything through a screen, of only feeling that something was real if it was shared. You can still be in a place without the urgency of transforming it into content. You can keep experiences inside you without needing the whole world to validate that it happened. This superpower is presence before performance. You possess a rare ability to live without constant mediation, to feel without needing to publish, to be fully present in a moment without dividing your attention between what you are experiencing and how it will appear to others. Your body knows that true memory is built in silence, not in stories. If this explanation has made things clearer about your personality, please comment. Now I understand better. Your participation strengthens this community of self-awareness, the ability to solve problems independently before seeking instant answers online. Perhaps you still try to solve things on your own before seeking help, not out of pride or stubbornness, but because your body has been trained to try first, to explore, to discover on its own. You don't feel the urgency to have the right answer immediately. You can dwell on the doubt for a while. You grew up without Google, without tutorials, just a click away. When something broke, you opened it, fiddled with it, tried to understand it. When you had a question, you thought about it, asked someone close to you, or looked it up in books. Your brain learned that solving problems is a process, not a shortcut, and that making mistakes is part of discovering. This autonomy has given you a quiet confidence in your own abilities. You don't panic when you don't know something immediately, because your body knows the path of trial and error. You tolerate temporary frustration, experiment with solutions, and adjust what doesn't work. And this makes you someone who builds knowledge, not just consumes ready-made answers. This superpower is cognitive resilience. You possess a mental framework that doesn't give up at the first obstacle, that doesn't outsource all thinking to algorithms. Your body knows that solving problems on your own strengthens you, that the process of searching is as valuable as the final answer. And this makes you someone capable of navigating complexity without depending on external validation at every step. The mental superpower of navigating chaos and uncertainty without a ready-made instruction manual. You might handle the unexpected better than you think. When things go off script, when there's no tutorial, when nobody knows exactly what to do, you don't freeze. Your body knows this territory because it was shaped in a time when improvisation was the rule, not the exception. You grew up without immediate answers for everything. No GPS telling you where to go, no online reviews before choosing, no algorithmic prediction of what would work. You made decisions in the dark, adjusted your course mid-journey, and learned as you went. Your brain was trained to trust its own judgment even without guarantees. This ability to navigate uncertainty has given you a rare mental flexibility. You don't need to have every variable under control to get started. You can act with incomplete information, tolerate ambiguity, recalculate without collapsing. And that makes you someone who thrives precisely where manuals don't reach in real life. Unpredictable and full of variables. This superpower is adaptive intelligence under pressure. You possess a deep confidence in your ability to find your way by walking, to transform chaos into direction, to create structure where none exists. Your body knows you've already survived transitions no one taught you how to navigate, and that has prepared you to handle whatever world is yet to come. These 10 ways of functioning are no coincidence. They are hallmarks of a generation that lived through the greatest technological transition in human history and survived with its mind intact. You carry within your body a silent wisdom, built between two worlds, between the analog and the digital, between the slow and the instantaneous. Perhaps you've never stopped to realize that these habits are superpowers, that the way you remember, wait, observe, solve problems, and adapt isn't just a different way of being, it's a cognitive and emotional advantage that few generations have developed. You were shaped by a scarcity of ready-made answers, and that gave you something rare, real autonomy. Your body knows how to inhabit silence without despair. It knows how to process information without haste. It knows how to be present without needing external validation. It knows how to navigate uncertainty without an instruction manual. And all of this makes you someone capable of moving between realities without getting lost in any of them. These are not traces of the past. They are tools of the present in an increasingly fast-paced, fragmented world dependent on instant answers. You carry a mental structure that resists exhaustion, that sustains depth, that trusts in your own body as a living archive of experience. And this, silently, keeps you whole. Have you ever noticed this type of behavior in yourself or someone you care about? Share your experience in the comments. Sometimes, just reading similar stories makes us feel much less alone. If you enjoy content that reveals the hidden superpowers in your personality, subscribe to the channel. Here, we look at common daily habits with a calmer, deeper, and more human perspective.